Alan Quinlan joins us on the line. Good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning, lads. How are you?
Good. Where are you?
Well, I'm here in the Yokohama Bay Sheraton Hotel, the Irish team hotel. Team announcement was about 20 minutes, half an hour ago, maybe a bit longer, 45 minutes ago. So a couple of surprises in the backfield. Well, not really surprises, I suppose. We heard at the start of the week about the injury to Rob Kearney and the story of Keith Earls maybe not making it. But it's still exciting. There was a sense of calm about Joe Schmidt in his press conference and confidence, I think, and Rory Best as well. So I think they're certainly looking to get up and running, and it's been a long build-up for all the teams, and Sunday it'll be helter-skelter, I think.
Yeah. Talk to us first of all about the makeup of the back row. We chatted a fair bit about it over the last while. In fact, it might have been 2 weeks ago, you and I sat in the studio this morning and spoke about the CJ Stander versus Jack Conan battle, and it's Stander who's won it. It's Peter O'Mahony, Josh van der Fleur and CJ Stander in the back row. What's your initial thought on that?
Yeah, it was the back row I would have picked, to be honest. You could certainly question maybe the way CJ has played and his form. Jack Conan did get an opportunity over the 2 Welsh games and he played well but didn't really stand out, have a really impactful game. And I think, playing the two of them together for the second Welsh game, they both played well. Sander went well at 6 and Jack Conan played well at 8. I still think a lot of these players, and it's hard for guys when they're trying to chase form if you get the opportunity like Jack Conan did, because you've only a couple of games played at the start of the season. And I know myself back when I played, sometimes it takes 4 or 5 games to really get that kind of match speed and that match fitness up. So Joe's gone back to probably the experience scenario of CJ Stander and maybe what he's delivered in the last couple of years, which was high tempo, top quality performances. There is no doubt his form has dipped a little bit. But sometimes as a coach, you make these decisions and you hope then a player can reward you with a big performance on Sunday. And I think Josh van der Fleur had to be picked because of the threat of Hamish Watson, who'll start for Scotland at 7, and the way the Scots will target our back row, and Peter O'Mahony then for his line-out, and probably leadership and captaincy, being one of the vice-captains of the team. So we've said it a while, Adrian, that our back row need to have more impact in the game. They need more carries, more tackles. They need to be getting up into double figures. And unfortunately, in the last 7 or 8 months, they haven't got there. But this is an opportunity. And if we're going to be successful and do well at this World Cup, we need our back row making a real impact.
And in terms of impact off the bench then, so Jack Conan is among the replacements. Jean Klein doesn't make the 23. Joe Schmidt says he'll find his way through the tournament and there'll certainly be opportunities for him. Tadhg Beirne from the outside, it felt as though he's never fully convinced Joe Schmidt, but he finds himself on the bench here. Schmidt, mentioning in his press conference, likes his ability to sort of change the game up, maybe can offer something different. What do you see Beirne's role being on Sunday?
Well, I think it's that impact. He can make a carry, he can make an offload. I think he gets into the breakdown and is phenomenal there at times. So I think it's the right call to have Conan and Beirne as your second row loose forward coming off the bench, because they can bring in real energy, and that's exactly what you want. If conditions are wet and windy and it's in the middle of the winter and it's in the Northern Hemisphere and you want to bring on a big brute like Klein, you select him in the bench. But this is going to be good conditions. The pitch is going to be top quality. Scotland play with a high tempo. And I think, they're the 2 guys that I would have chosen to come off the bench. It's exactly what you want. And you want impact straight away, Nathan, and pace and stuff. And I think, Beirne brings that energy and brings that excitement. Why isn't he starting? Because James Ryan and Ian Henderson are your starting second rows as it stands, unless something changes in the next couple of weeks. And so, you look at the bench and there is impact there, real impact. Kilcoyne as well was superb in the warm-up games. He brings real energy off the bench as well. And Chris Farrell is probably the interesting one. I know we're gone to the outside backs now, but putting him on the bench, Jack Carty on the bench ahead of Joey Carberry, who we're told trained all week and was really sharp. So there's a couple of interesting calls in the outside back channels there as well.
Yeah, so pick up on that, Quinny, first, if you will. Are you surprised that it's Larmour who gets the nod at 15 and not Conway?
In a sense, I am. I thought it would, personally, I would think it would be the other way around, because I think if you go back to, I think it was November 18 when Jordan Larmour started at full back against Italy, his attacking ability is second to none, but some high contests and stuff he didn't catch, and on a few occasions he's been cut out of position if he's been in that full back position. So I think he's an incredible athlete. He has so much attack to his game, so much excitement. But again, it's a call from Joe Schmidt, and he's probably that stuff that they've worked on with Jordan Larmour. I think it's the final piece in the jigsaw for him to be a top class, exceptional international player, because he has pace, he has great footballing ability, and I think if you look at Rob Kearney, sometimes Rob Kearney, there's been calls to have him out of the team over the years, maybe because of his attacking ability against somebody else like Larmour. But each time those calls have happened and somebody else has gone in there, there's been a call to get Rob Kearney back in there because of his exceptional reading. So I think Jordan Larmour will have learned a lot in the last kind of 12 months about that role at full back, and winning ball in the air. He's going to be testing on Sunday, there's no doubt. Laidlaw, Russell will kick a lot of ball to him and challenge him there. But the two wingers are really important. Andrew Conway has a lot of experience and is good in the air, really good in the air. So Stockdale and Conway have got to help him as well on Sunday. Yeah,
they might interchange a bit, and funny enough, it would have been a game that was totally cut out for Rob Kearney in so many ways. How much will it dictate our play, Quinny? Like, if the conditions are a bit wet in terms of us with ball in hand, are we less likely? I know you're a big fan of kicking into the backfield where needs be to gain a bit of territory. Obviously the danger there is it gets pumped right back at you. How much will their selection, given the so few caps that both Conway and Larmour have, how much will their selection dictate Ireland's play?
Well, it's obviously if you're on the front foot and you're getting good quality ball and Ireland have a chance to attack and you can get... what I love about Conway and Larmour is they pop up in different positions. They just love to attack, and Conway will come in off his wing. He'll be looking to come on the inside of Sexton. If it becomes a bit unstructured, and Larmour gets an opportunity to counter-attack, if you kick loosely to him, he can be brilliant. So they can be match winners for you. I think if the conditions are wet and the ball is very, very slippy and Laidlaw and Russell are kicking a lot to him, they've got to do the fundamentals really well and win those balls in the air and be patient, sometimes not force it. I think it can impact both sides here on Sunday if it is wet, because it's knowing when to attack and when to hold on to the ball and just be patient. I think patience is required when in wet conditions, and just managing the tempo of the game, playing intelligently and kicking into the backfield and just getting your kick chase line up the field. So I think both sides will have a few little attacking options that we haven't seen. They'll have stuff kept up their sleeve a little bit. But from Ireland's point of view, it's just, you would hope that their line-out functions well and that their precision at the breakdown, some of the strengths and the outstanding attributes that worked so well from in 2018. But I have a bit of a fear. I think Ireland will win the game, but I have a real fear about how we cope early on. I think Scotland will really come out of the blocks and try and go after Ireland.
You mentioned the line-out. How much pressure is there going to be, given all the concerns we've had there and the evidence of a dysfunctioning line-out at times for Ireland? How much pressure is there going to be on Rory Best to nail that first line-out on Sunday?
Well, there's going to be loads of pressure on Rory Best and James Ryan, Henderson, O'Mahony. I think again they've had trouble with that in recent times, so I'm sure they'll have spoken a lot, worked on a calling system and some banker balls, if you like, that they're just going to make sure they will make it at the front of the line out, win the ball. But for Ireland to attack, and for any team to attack in rugby, you want to try and win it at the middle or the tail of the line out, and then you can launch your attack off that. So there's a lot of pressure, and hopefully to get that set piece right, you would love, with O'Mahony back in the side, he's a real line-out option, and I think for James Ryan, it's just calling in the right areas and making sure there's pace and quick movement after the call is made. And I think that's the key, because Gilchrist and Johnny Gray will be really trying to get up there and frustrate them. And again, if they lose one, Adrian, you don't panic. You've got to be careful. I've been in teams where the liner hasn't gone well one week and you come back the next week and you lose your first line out. Do you allow all that negativity creep back in? You've got to keep calm and hope that things sort themselves out. So there's enough experience there, but it is a real key area.
James Ryan was talking there in the press conference about sharing responsibility with Peter O'Mahony and supporting Ian Henderson and making the calls on the line out. Is that what you want in a game like this, that there are group decisions, there are conversations, or would you prefer the one, and listen, it's not going to happen, the one commanding figure of a Devin Toner who's making those calls?
Well, I think ideally, Nathan, you want a dominant leader who ultimately has the final call on where the ball is going. But you want impact. So we see a lot of little huddles before lineouts now, or guys when they're walking, particularly of penalties when you kick to touch. Sometimes the lineout is chosen before the opposition even set up, and then they have an option of changing that with a buzzword to go somewhere else. So you need impact. You need people having a chat and saying, "Look, I'm free," or try this move or try this line out. It'll work better. And you got to tailor it to where the opposition are defending sometimes, but sometimes you just got to back yourself and go for it. So James Ryan has got to be the dominant force, but O'Mahony and Henderson and Best, they've got to have kind of chats with each other as they move around the field. And hopefully get it right. You're not going to get everyone right, but Scotland will put huge pressure on Ireland in that area on Sunday. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Quinny, just one text in here for you from Paul Jones. Quinny, the most important Japanese that you're going to need to know, Nama Biru Kudasai.
I have no idea what that means. Tell me, Adrian.
Draft beer, please.
Draft beer, please. Okay. That's probably important. Will you text me that one?
I'll text it on to you.
I won't remember it.
What's going to happen on Sunday, finally, before you leave us?
I'm confident that they can build on what happened in the second half against Wales, where I saw huge energy and enthusiasm and a much more accurate performance from Ireland. I think they've got to keep it relatively simple, I think, and just physically front up against Scotland, because I just have a feeling Scotland are going to target the first 10, 15 minutes to try and get scores on the board and unsettle Ireland. And if they go toe-to-toe with them and impose themselves, I think they can settle into the game then, and I believe they'll be good enough to win the game. All
right, Quinny, we'll pick through it with you next week. Thanks a million. Take it easy.
Cheers, lads.
Good luck. Alan Quinlan on the line there from Yokohama to pick through that team. We're going to join Owen Shane very shortly. Do keep your comments coming in. 8:20 on this Friday morning.